Welcome back to Cuisines and Cocktails. We're gonna forego the cocktail because we're just basically finishing up all the stuff we started. The root vegetable cakes, the chicken breasts, the almond chicken tenders, and the dauphinoise that are in the oven. We're all gonna kind of put a big bow on all of that, and then we'll continue on with some other fun stuff. So let's get to it. We're gonna put a little bit of oil in a pan, and we're gonna start off by searing our chicken breasts. Let's season them with some pepper and salt. And we're gonna put a little bit of oil. And we'll just let that heat up till it gets a nice shimmer, so we get a nice hard caramelization on the skin. And once we have it flipped into the pan, we can season the backside or the inside of the chicken breasts. And we'll let these cook till they're golden brown. Meanwhile, we can start cooking off some of the root vegetable cakes. And again, we'll just have a saute pan, but heat up. In this hot saute pan, we're going to cook the root vegetable cakes. And it's okay that they've weeped a little bit. And we'll let them kind of cook to a medium caramelization on the bottom. Then we'll flip them probably about 2-3 minutes on either side. And then to finish these, we're actually going to put some blue cheese on the top and then finish them in the oven so they get a nice creamy, almost bubbly gratinade blue cheese top on them. This is going to go nicely with the almond, especially the toasted almond flavor of the chicken tenders. And one of the things that you can always kind of tell when you're searing, pan frying something is let the product itself release from the pan. As long as you don't have it too high of a temperature, you can really let it cook a fair amount of the way on one side, and it'll actually release once it's fully seared and caramelized on the skin side. So you don't have to force it and pry it up. It should release on its own. And we'll wait till it gets a nice golden brown color. There's two of our root vegetable cakes. Let those cook on that side for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll put them in the oven to finish, and then we'll put a little bit of blue cheese on. When we come back, we'll work on the chicken mushroom sauce for the chicken breast. So we have the root vegetable cake seared, and I'm just about to pull our chicken breasts off the heat, and we're gonna start by using the hot pan to start making the chicken sauce. We're gonna quickly mince up an onion. We're gonna add the mushrooms with those caramelized, and then we can deglaze it with wine while the chicken tenders and the root cakes and the dauphinoise are in the oven, all finished. So while this caramelizes, these go in the oven. We're also going to add a couple of cloves of garlic to our mushroom sauce. The chicken breast will probably take 5 or 6 more minutes, and the root vegetable cakes probably about the same amount of time. Once we get the sauce good, everything will basically come together about the same amount of time. I'm just going to add a little bit of butter to the pan so we don't dry it out. Put this over here since it's just going to hang out. Clean pan. A modest amount of oil. And we'll let the oil heat up. Dark caramelization that's on the bottom of the pan from the chicken. Again, that's just wonderful flavors. It's fond. It's proteins that have been caramelized from the chicken, and it adds a great base flavor to your sauces. Okay, the oil has a nice, that shimmer where it kind of, you can tell that it's hot. And again, as always, dip in close to you and let it fall away from you. That way if it splashes, you don't get burned. And we're just gonna let those get crispy. Then we're gonna put them back on the tray and we'll finish them just for a minute or two in the oven just to get them hot as everything else finishes. And the one thing you want to be careful with, especially with almonds, is you don't want them to burn, and they have a fair amount of sugars within them. So you just want to keep an eye on them. It's definitely not one of those things where you can bread, throw in the oil, walk away, do something else, and come back and they'll be perfectly fine. They'll probably be black. Now that we have some nice caramelization on the mushrooms, we're going to deglaze with dry white wine. And all deglazing does is take all those hard caramelizations that we've worked so hard to build with the chicken, and then layering on the mushrooms and the onions and the garlic and all that great fond and caramelization flavors. The acid helps remove that from the bottom of the pan and get it into your sauce. So you just want to kind of scrape around, loosen up all of the flavor crystals, and we're going to reduce the wine till it's almost au sec, which is almost dry, not quite. Then we're going to add a little bit of cream to it, reduce the cream, and then as that happens, everything else will kind of all come together. We're going to pull out the root vegetable cakes in a second, put blue cheese on top, put them back in the oven so the blue cheese has a chance to melt and get nice and soft. And I'll be able to pull out the dauphinoise and show them to you. Alrighty. So we're going to let this reduce just a little bit. Then we'll add the cream. Let me go get those dauphinoise. The root vegetable cakes. And our chicken breasts. You can let them rest. And just like steaks, if you let your chicken rest, the juices have a chance to absorb back into the meat. And so when you cut it, it doesn't just bleed out and become a dry chicken. You'll actually have some moisture and flavor to it. On top of the root vegetable cakes, we're going to put a little bit of blue cheese. Again, I'm from Wisconsin. We do cheese on a lot of things. And I love using local, small family dairies to get your cheese from. It has a lot more personality than large, generic cheese factories that just kind of produce a ho-hum version. I also like the story of the cheesemakers. Okay. Now we're going to just put these in just long enough that the cheese melts and gets a little bit of color to them. And for the dauphinoise, we're just going to run a knife around the edge. And typically I would literally make this a day ahead, but this is real TV, so. And you can cut this into whatever shape, diamonds. If you have circle cutters, you can cut circles out of it. It cuts way easier, I will admit, if it's cold and set up, but you can see all the layers of the potatoes and the custard. And we only need 2 pieces for today's purposes, and the rest we can use for a different application later in the week. Now that you can see that the wine has reduced and it's almost jelly-like, it's real thick and rich, we're going to add some cream. We'll let this come together, reduce down a little bit, and this won't take long. Just a few minutes on high. We're going to put the chicken tenders in just to get them a little bit reheated, and then we'll start to plate. So when we come back, we'll finish up the plating and we'll have a chance to tie a bow on these last 2 episodes of Poultry. Alrighty, so we have the dauphinoise, and we're going to just put them on a plate. And we're just going to put a little bit of butter to finish the sauce. It's nice and thick, great color. And just the residual heat will finish the butter, melting the butter. And again, you don't want to finish butter while it's on the heat because you'll break the butter. And then you'll get a very oily appearance. Then to serve the chicken breasts, I'm going to cut them on a bias. And we'll top with our mushroom cream reduction. Root vegetable cakes out of the oven. Do it with the nice caramelized blue cheese on top. Okay, so today we did almond crusted chicken tenders with a root vegetable cake and blue cheese gratin. And then we did the pan-seared chicken breasts with the aged cheddar cheese, potato dauphinoise, and a mushroom cream sauce. And then next, stay tuned, we're going to make a caramelized peach sauce to serve over ice cream. So for this dessert, we're basically going to make, if you've ever been to a nice country club or a resort where they have Sunday brunch, Easter brunch, Mother's Day brunch, and they have chef stations and they do crepe Suzette or cherries Jubilee or bananas Foster. This is going to be on that line. We're going to do a peach caramel sauce over vanilla ice cream. So we're going to start with a little bit of brown sugar in a pan, a little bit of butter, and we're going to get this to melt, hopefully. There we go. And this is the start of all caramel, basically. Maybe a little bit more butter, just to give it a little more liquid. Okay, so once the butter and the sugar are kind of bubbly like this, you can add our peaches. And at this point we can add a little bit more brown sugar. We're going to let this reduce just a little bit. Then we're going to deglaze the pan with some peach schnapps and some brandy. This is literally a dish that when I was the executive sous chef at a private country club in Colorado, every week we did a Sunday brunch, and every week we did a different crepe station sauce. We did everything from apples to caramelized nuts, peanuts, you name it. We made crepes out of it. Now we're gonna let this reduce. And while that is reducing, I'm gonna make a fun shape out of the ice cream. We've got 2 same size spoons. And we're gonna make what's called a quenelle, hopefully. If the ice cream will. The quenelle is basically a 3-sided football shape. There's one. It's a little warm in the studio. The ice cream is getting really soft, but there's 2 quenelles. Once this just reduces a little bit more, we'll finish it with a little bit of butter and then be able to glaze our ice cream. So if you're in an area that has seasons and you can't get fresh fruit, you can do frozen peaches or frozen cherries, frozen apples if you can't, or the price is just crazy and they're not very good quality. And you can see that it's starting to get a little more viscosity to the caramel sauce as we're getting closer. Okay, now that we have nice caramely bubbles, we're going to take it off the heat, put in a tablespoon or so of butter to cream out the caramel. And again, do this off the heat so the butter doesn't separate and become all oily. Peaches right over the top, some extra caramel sauce. And here's the caramelized peach sauce over ice cream. And my name is James Jens. I'm the chef of Dinners with Class, hosting cuisines and cocktails, and hoping you have a great meal.